Alright, and welcome back to another episode of Raul's World of Synths. If you were with us last time, you kind of got to experience the first part of this demonstration where we were kind of looking at a basic pulse wave being modified over in our oscilloscope. Let me kind of bring that up so you can kind of see what we were looking at last time. So we were kind of looking at that right there, sort of the original signal up on top, process signal down at the bottom, and then I was sort of showing you that if I just, shift, my oscilloscope will do that, changing the waveform, or I can sort of adjust the resonance, which is the depth of our signal cancellation right there for a more pronounced effect and get even, up to a semi-sine wave over there. Or not sine wave, I'm sorry, what am I saying? Triangle wave. Although it looks a little bit like a sine triangle, like a hybrid kind of. But at any rate, this time we're going to kind of go into our sort of a little more advanced application of this. We've been kind of working with a pulse wave so far, so I'm going to unpatch that. And I'm going to get my sequencer set up so we can kind of play with something a little bit more interesting. I think I had it set to around 5 over here on my sequencer. You can't see it, but it's off camera over there somewhere. And now I'm going to take the sum output over here to get our basic sound source. Let me just dial in my tempo. And then I'm going to play with my A125 to kind of get back the sound I originally had. Okay, so that's kind of the sound we're working with. Let me bring this up a little bit. Tempo again. Okay, and let me just, not really happy with the channel 3 over there. Let me just get a nice little mix here. Alright. Okay, so I'm kind of happy with that. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Alright, so at any rate, now we got our sound source. And we got kind of a little bass line going on here. And now let's go ahead and kind of hear how our bass line is kind of going to be affected here. Here we go with the shift. That's kind of at the very minimum setting right there. That's the amount of phase shift. So right there, we're just kind of almost like a very thin kind of bandpass filtery type effect. So let's bring that up a little bit now. I love those sounds kind of in the middle, kind of formanty kind of sounds. Okay, so I'm going to keep my setting at around the midpoint right there so that we can kind of listen to how resonance is going to change our signal as well. So I'm going to bring this down a little bit because we're at the max right now. This is actually going to kind of allow us to hear a little more subtly what's actually happening here. So let's go ahead and adjust it a little bit at shift with the resonance kind of at a middle setting. It's not quite as pronounced as it was before. It's still a worthwhile sound for sure. Okay, so that's kind of the basic idea of shift and resonance. I think you got that. And again, resonance, for those of you who missed it, is the one that allows us to control the depth of the signal cancellation of the kind of comb filter that's going across our audio in over here. Okay. Now at the bottom, we haven't played with mix out yet. We're actually been listening to full phase signal right there, not to our pulse. In the previous demo, we're only listening to pulse. But here, we have kind of a more varied waveform. So I'm going to bring this up. So there we should have a little bit of original signal, and then a little bit of phase signal. If I bring it all the way to the top, we got a 50-50 mix right there. So let's kind of play around with this and see if this kind of gives us some better results. So let's turn resonance up a little. There we go. And now let's kind of play with shift. Right there, we're getting some nice little kind of almost resonance. I'm going to bring the mix down a little bit. And then I'm going to adjust my shift. Okay. So that's kind of the basic idea on the A125 with an audio input source. Why don't we try a different octave? Just to kind of see if we get any better results, kind of in a higher octave or a lower one. Let's flip down to the bottom. Might be a little bit too low to get any good results. Let's go ahead and take our CV out, because I have some CV notes over here. So I want to get a nice little bass line over here, because I have some quantized notes I've been just kind of holding on to for a while. So let's hear that. Kind of like that sound. So let's kind of play around with our level a little. I want to bring it up a little bit. Let me bring up the mix to 50-50. There we go. And now let's play with shift a little bit. A lot of really great sounds coming out. I think this is steadily becoming one of my favorite modules here. I'm going to play with the resonance a little bit, and then let me adjust shift. Bring the mix down, and then I'll adjust resonance again, and then just shift. Again, that's a minimum. And then over at maximum, adjust resonance a little bit. Okay, so that, in a nutshell, is kind of the basic part of audio demonstration number 2. I thought it would be more interesting to kind of play around with a sequence of notes, as well as kind of a sort of droning kind of bass line. I just changed the octave on you there. But in the next segment, what we'll be doing is kind of going in and playing around a little bit with the modulation capabilities of this module, because we haven't discussed or seen kind of the CV input. It'll be nice to kind of see a few applications of it, and what I kind of plan for the next one is maybe try integrate some random voltages, maybe from a sample and hold or a random voltage module. Haven't decided yet, but I hope you found this useful. And if you have questions about any of the stuff that is going on down here, or you're not familiar with any of this, I do have other video series out there on some of these modules, the A135, A140, as well as, let's see, we're using a quantizer, so the A156, and then our sequencer, which is off camera. as well. So if you are curious about that, please check out some of those other videos. I do encourage you to do so. But I want to thank you for watching this time around, and hope you join us next time for the next part. I think in the next one, that's actually going to kind of wrap up the series. I haven't decided how in-depth I want to go on that one yet. But in the next video or videos, we'll be looking at modulation and maybe use a few different modulation sources. So thanks again for watching, and keep on patching out there.